Hello everyone, today I'm going to be giving my opinion on the Attack on Titan collaboration. It has been out for a little bit over a week, and I want to just give my opinion on it and what I think about it, because I do have a lot of thoughts about it, mainly negative, but some are positive as well. There are some good things, but there's mainly negatives. The characters themselves, Levi, his stats are like okay. He's got very high crit damage, but that's really it. I know he's a crit-based character. He's got like decent crit resistance and that kind of stuff. His animations are cool, but overall, he hasn't got much going for him. Maybe in Hero Arena, maybe in a future meta, but currently, as of their release, they have no purpose. Currently, they're not good for PvE. They're not the best for PvP. Yes, they are usable if you have them invested. Yeah, they're usable, but that's the same with most characters. If you have like the newest festival fully invested, they're usable. They're 100% usable. But these characters, they're just about usable. They're good, but they're just about usable. I want to go on to Rerun last out of everything before we get onto the events, because I have a lot to say about this Rerun, and mainly about the way they handled a lot about him. Because there are a lot of problems, and I do actually want to address them, because I think it's kind of absurd at this point, some of the problems. Mikasa, they killed her with her relic not working in Demonic Beast. PvP, it's understandable, but she's not free. She's a PvE character. The other two free PvE characters we got in, maybe Kisner, which is the most broken one in the game, and then Eris as well, who's also a good character. And this one, not free. And her relic doesn't work in Demonic Beast, which is okay, but it's also restricted to humans, which you could say same with Eris as well, but she doesn't rival Kisner. Kisner was free as well, and she was very good, and she still is very good to this day. Levi, he's not too bad. He actually got a glow up. He's got decent substats now. He's still got his spike card. He's still got despair. His ult is still the same, but you know his relic actually helped him quite a bit. It gives him 100% extra crit damage. He's got max ult gauge. His passive still guarantees him critting, and he can still be somewhat usable in some PvE things. And I do see a future where he is usable, but he is, I'm going to say, the luckiest one out of all of them with usability, because he has the ability to be good in PvE. I've seen videos of him on PvP, and he was pulling out better numbers than the other two newest characters from the collab. SR Aaron, nothing's changed. No substat increase. He's just got a relic. That's it. Gives him 2 extra ult gauge. Not too bad. Nothing else changed about him. They didn't increase his substats. I don't know why he shares the exact same outfits as the Titan Aaron, but decided not to increase his substats. Weird, but whatever. He's only an SR character anyway. This Aaron, they just didn't change this skill at all. This one they turned on Millum card at level 2, but it works for everyone. Same with there, they just increased the multiplier a little bit as well. Ultimate, they increased the multiplier of like the HP and attack related stats, defense related stats you get. That's it. His passive didn't get changed when he switches to Titan form. All they did was make it so he's not affected by level 4 Blackout, which is the Demon King's ult. But level 3 Blackout still works, which disables everything other than ultimates. Which, in my opinion, he should have just got Blackout immunity in general. He's still not usable because his stats are like really, really bad. You know, it would have just been something a little bit better than just Blackout level 4, because he's not surviving a Blackout level 4 ult anyway. Because the defense related stats get lowered so much, it's a grey debuff. So yeah, this Aaron still completely horrible. They didn't fix transformation units at all. Given 2 extra ult gauge at the start of the battle, yes, you can probably get your ult turn 1, but is it going to do anything? Not really, because then it's going to take you even more turns to actually be able to deal damage. And so the final character, we have Aaron. I've actually got a lot to say about this Aaron. Character design is very good, his skills are very good, his ultimate artwork looks insane. I love the artwork. His relic is actually not too bad, works with humans and giants using single target skills. They ignore crit resistance, which is nice. Passive is very long. I think they weren't too sure what to do with this Aaron. They just, screw it, we're going to give him 2 races, we're just going to give him a bunch of other random stuff and hope it performs well. But my biggest problem about this Aaron, and about a lot of things about Grand Cross in general now, is over-censorship. Aaron does not show any genitalia when he uses this ability, but his bottom half is completely censored. Do you know what I mean? Let me show you a better view. Because if you do not know, the Titan models are the complete same for these two errands. Maybe there's a slight difference when attacking, but that's it. Well, we don't need to see the ultimate. We don't need to see the ultimate. But look, this isn't censorship. All you have done is increase the darkness around, increase shading around those areas. He doesn't show any. There's no genitalia at all. Look, there's nothing. Why is he being censored? The country I live in doesn't have these censorship laws, so why should... I don't understand why there's not... So you know what currency I use, game. This game knows what currency I use. Because of course, you know, you've got the App Store, you've got the Android Store. They know what currency you use. So when you just use that, and then all you got to do is just find the laws in the countries and just be like, okay, you live in this country, no censorship for you, all good. Because you have the files in the game. And we know that because in the story, they made that quite a while, this is a very long time ago, they made a mess up with Derriere. Derriere is censored on global, but in JP she isn't, and in this story animation, she wasn't censored. The whole thing was out. And then if you go on to Eren himself, we'll go on to the new Eren again, to show this stupid over-censorship, which is something I want to talk about I've wanted to talk about this for quite a while. That's blood, right? As you can see there, that was blood. And now if we look at it, is that ultimate? Oh, it's not blood, it's some dark stain. Nice. I know you can't really see the censorship here, but I just still find it absurd. Look, there you go there. It's not needed. Yes, if there are countries that do have censorship, then yeah, sure, go ahead. But if I can watch Attack on Titan, if in your country you can watch shows like this, right, and it's completely fine, right, there's no censorship, I don't understand why the game can't just follow the same laws as the country, because JP is not censored. I would understand if they're all censored, because cool, then whatever, you know, it's what they're doing. But they've just gotten lazy. All they needed to do was just add that, and it wouldn't have been a problem. But when we stopped having an actual global development team, what they did is they just translated the game from Korean to English or whatever language you speak, which your game is in. And the reason we know that is because sometimes they don't translate things, and all of a sudden you click on something and it's all in Korean. That is a bug that has happened many times in the past, mainly to do with events or mainly just small things that you wouldn't really notice, which, you know, sometimes you do notice because you accidentally come across them. But then in Korea, of course, they have censorship laws. But on global, it should be a completely different story. If I'm able to watch Attack on Titan in my country with no censorship, I don't understand why it needs to be censored in game. Ghislaine, sure, it's a woman, her breasts are showing, completely understandable. Milam, she's showing her crack, it's completely fine. And Derriere is completely... I understand if it's the women's side of it. It's completely fine, completely understandable. But this is what you call over-censorship. They do not need... This doesn't need to be censored. There is nothing... Titans don't have genitalia. I don't understand. Like, there's nothing there. You haven't censored it. All you've done is just change the darkness. If there was a censorship law on it, you failed, because you can still see it. It's just over-censorship. I understand Ghislaine, I understand Derriere, I understand Milam, and all these other ones that have been censored, but, like, you're telling me, right, that Eren needs to be censored. There's one skin for Mono. This Mono, where is it? Which has a skin, which, yeah, but this is fine. Eren can't show nothing, but Mono can just show all of this. This is fine. Same with the... Actually, I want to compare this to Ghislaine. Ghislaine shows like nothing, and then you have this, which is a skin they made, and they find acceptable. I just find it absurd. It's just extreme over-censorship that doesn't need to happen. And I don't know why they just don't implement a system which will then find out what country you're from, be like, okay, yes, it's something that you would have to agree to, of course, because they can't just do that without your permission. And say, yeah, if you agree to it, cool, we give you all the JP, because the JP files are probably still on the global version. You know, you probably still have them installed, but they've just hidden them away to the point where they're not visible. And I don't know why they just don't give you the ability to do it, or even just a setting in the settings that you can change if you're able to. See, because you can ask for the non-censored or the censored version, depending on which country you live in. You know, that would just be an easy fix around it. And I think that this extreme over-censorship is just not needed. We're in 2023 nowadays, you know, this game's a 17 rated game. It's not like it's, I feel like 12-year-olds. On to the event. Anything new? No, this is all the same from the old Attack on Titan event. The story was identical. The newest thing was probably this bingo event and maybe this Hawk Treasure event. I don't remember this being in the other one. Titan, they did change it. They made it a little bit harder by giving it like this unique ability. Where is it? Where's the scream? This one, where it literally disables your your passives as well as your relics for 3 turns. That was cool. But yeah, there's nothing else really. I just don't understand. This boss was okay. They definitely could have added another one, even if it was like something really tiny and something really obscure. It would have just done. Like, if we think about all the other reruns we had ReZero, they bring like the rabbits boss, right? Those rabbits were 500 KCC, which still can't be like broken today. And the only way you could pretty much do it was with the ReZero characters, and you could just do an auto with them. You know, you can't do it. You know, there's no event here. I think KOF had another one. Slime had another boss. It's like, I don't understand why they couldn't with Attack on Titan. But what irritates me the most is how they were saying, oh yeah, we've had this license since 2021. The characters you've released are 2021 characters. Rerun would have been the perfect counter to Barn at the time, who was extremely prevalent in 2021. He had buffs, he was a red human, which was the whole team, they all had buffs pretty much, and it would have been a perfect counter. And then you have Levi, a green unit. And who else had buffs back in the day who was Mayor? Margaret. Levi's a complete counter to Margaret. And you think, like, I think it's just a little bit too much of a coincidence that they say they had the license in 2021, and these characters are the perfect counters for those 2021 characters. It just feels like they've just upped their stats, upped the passives, maybe just a little bit more. They've given Eren an extra race, because why not? And they've changed a few things here and there, but that's it. I don't feel like anything else has really been changed. They've just sat on these characters, they've just lived there on, you know, some file that they've had from, I don't know, 2021 that's just been left there in their office, and they think, yeah, let's just add them now. But these characters aren't, they're not to spec. They're not to spec at all. It's a big disappointment. There's a new collab coming soon, and I think that if they continue down the road of these very awful, I'm not going to say, actually no, I'm not going to call Dribbles Reincarnated like a bad collaboration, because it wasn't too bad. I'll give credit where credit is due. Roxy wasn't too bad. Rudius is mediocre, but still not too bad, and Ghislaine was broken for a little while, and she still is very good. She's very high CC, and I think she has the highest base attack in the game, not including LRs, of course. But, you know, you think about it, let's go back to Shield Hero. Nalfami was practically immortal until Purgatory Melee came. Raftalia was okay with Nalfami, Philo was completely broken, and Kizna was still a very good PvE character. ReZero, you had Reinhardt and Echidna. You had the ability to wipe a team. Echidna with the ability to do that from 3-6 to 6-6, and Reinhardt being able to do it at 6-6 with the Barn team. Then we had Rimuru, who's a broken character. Milim got a complete rework, which made her good. You know, Terry was good on his release, because that's all that really matters. And if we look at these characters, it's a complete step down. I feel like that they are just trying to squeeze as much money out of it at this point than actually make the characters good. Because we asked them to buff it, they buffed it, cool. But they only buffed the ultimates, Eren's substats, and Levi's relic. But the problem wasn't their substats, it wasn't Levi's relic, it was their ultimates, but their problems were their skills. It was their skills. Their skills relied too much heavily on the enemies. Yes, so did their passives a little bit as well, but it was mainly their skills. Eren required the enemy to have a debuff. Levi required them to have the mark, which he applies, which requires them to have a buff, which means it would take you 2 skills to get the most out of it. It's stupid. But I just think that if the next collab is a flop, we as a community need to tell them it's not getting good. You know, you're not doing it well. Because they did say that they were going to be testing characters now, properly, in multiple situations. That means they tested these characters against one team, maybe once, twice at max, and thought, yeah, they did well. They tried Eren against Tyr, and then they tried Levi against Demon King, and thought, well, they perform well, that's good enough, let's release them. And instead of testing them against multiple different things and trying to give them multiple uses, they've given them one use. That is also something that we've seen recently, not even recently, in the past year with just festival characters. Debuff immunity, the stat immunity doesn't work in PvE for Mael. You've got Purg Melee. requires debuffs to do 40% extra damage, or stances, which means in PvE, in terms of Demonic Beast and stuff, he's not the best. But then think about a year prior, we had Traitor Melee, who didn't have any of these limitations. You had, you know, the One Escanor didn't have any of these limitations. You've all these all these old characters that just don't have any of these limitations, and then you come to these newer characters, well, they've got so many limitations. It's unbelievable how many limitations they got. Oh, doesn't work in PvE, or only works in PvE but doesn't work on Demonic Beast and doesn't work in PvP. Like, you've got all these limitations. Just keep it PvE or PvP, or make the characters for both, or make it so their passive is for PvE but their relic is for PvP. The other way around. So make it so their passive is for PvP and their relic is for PvE, like Red Freya, like Green Freya. You know, if Green Freya worked in Demonic Beast, she'd also be good as well. Overall, this event, massive letdown. No new content. It's easy. It's really easy. If you're a new player, of course, it may be slightly harder. But, you know, they haven't added any new events. They just copy and pasted the events, added the bingo, which, you know, we all love. Added 2 characters and thought, yeah, that'll do. Give everyone else a mediocre buff and give everyone a relic. If we go back to Slime, right? They reworked all the characters. They gave them half-decent relics to make them somewhat usable again, and added a new boss, as well as adding all the old content. You're telling me that they had this for 2 years? They had the ability, they had the license for 2 years, and this is all you made. You could have given one developer the task of making this collab from the time you got the license to now, and we would have had a better collab, instead of leaving it to last minute, which is what they have done. I would not believe these characters, or instead just Netmarble in general, test their characters anymore. From Barn to these recent buffs, and how quickly they do it shows you that they don't even test their characters. Well, they did test Barn before they released the buffed version, but they didn't test Aaron or Levi. We complained. 2 days later, they released the buff. That's not playtesting. You know, you can't do a playtest an entire day. You need to give it some time. You need to think, okay, so there's this team. You know, the community is using this team. Let's use this team. And it's just overall, they don't test these characters like what happened to Demon King. Demon King definitely was not tested at all. He was tested against probably goddesses, right? And that was it. Not against anyone else. And that's why he was so busted. That's why he still is so busted. Is they just keep one-upping each other because they just don't test things. They test against one team and then it's completely destroyed the entire meta because that team was meta, and it's stupid. What we really need is, I would say, we need the time between when Nalfmi came out and between Nalfmi and Purg Melee. So Rising of the Shield Hero, between them and Purg Melee, in my opinion, was probably the most diverse meta that we have had in a very long time. You had demons, you had Nalfmi with Unknown, you had Nalfmi with humans, you had Philo, you know, you had all these different teams that you could use. And now you look at it nowadays, you know, if you see my recent videos where I've been doing PvP, it's like, oh, it's Demon King again. Oh, it's Demon King again. Every game is a Demon King. It's not fun. It removes the fun from the game. You've created a horrible character. You've created a horrible collab that doesn't fix the problem. Yes, you could say Levi is good against Demon King. But if you look at the overall picture, yeah, he's good, but he's not the solution. We need a solution to the problem. Yes, I was like, oh, I hate my L. I want a solution to come out. You know, boom, Demon King drops. But then Demon King created millions of other different problems. Yes, I'm happy about not having diverse goddesses with goddesses all the time. I'd actually rather verse Demon King than my L still to this day. But you've just made another problem, and a bigger problem. Yes, he's very good everywhere else. But you give him a 50% damage cap. He has the ability to have Red Tarmiel Link. He stops commandments, all these different things, and it's just a pain. And I think that overall this collab has just showed us how little they care now about some of this content. It's just get it out, we'll test it a little bit, and we'll just throw it. Back in the day, they used to care. I will admit, they probably did care at one point. Now I just think they're going for money now. You know, with the new LR list, she's off the charts. You know, her level 2 could do damage cap to Nidhogg. I know it's on the first floor still, but it can still hit damage cap. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Like, LR Escanor, yeah, he's good, right? And I know this Liz only really works in PvE, and it should actually probably still stay that way because her stats are probably really high. You don't really want that as well. Don't want to bring goddesses back. Oh no, don't give them more basic stats because all their goddesses really have is extremely high basic stats. But yeah, this collab, complete write-off. The characters, like, I'm a collector, right? And I got them in 300, and I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, when it was ReZero, I got all the characters with the rerun, right? I got all the characters in 600. But I still did another rotation to get more dupes. Now it's not worth. This Collab isn't worth it. You know, yes, Aaron might be able to wipe, but he requires buffs. He requires enemy stat buffs. He only works with humans and giants, which, yes, humans are meta, but giants, you know, it's a very obscure race. You know, you've got Droll, which I remember this time, Skadi, Diane, Matrona. None of them which are good other than Skadi and Diane. Red Matrona's not too bad, but Skadi and Diane are your two key figures on that team. And maybe Matrona with Relic in the back, but you know, those are your two main characters. Yes, you could then use whatever's Droll with Commandment, but if you're mostly going to be versing Demon King, so it doesn't matter. Your Commandment's not going to work, and then Droll's just sitting there with horrible substats, horrible just CC, and you're just going to get destroyed immediately. This collab, if you did summon, you just got the characters, you just go for 1/6 of each, you got them, you dipped, just stick it with that. From what we have seen in the update files, the next update will either be Catastrophe or Festival. We only know that because they released one of Easton's. If I just type in Easton quickly, Easton, this one of these dudes, like a picture of one of these dudes from her skill, which tells us it could be a Catastrophe story next, which I wouldn't be too opposed with. Better than a Festival, because Festivals just suck up all your diamonds, and it's a good time for people to save for the next collab. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully this time they playtest stuff. But anyway, thank you for listening to my moaning for nearly 22 minutes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.